Hey everyone, it's Chris Texera. I'm back after spending the past weekend in St. Paul, Minnesota for the US Catan National Championships. It was an absolute blast. It was so much fun meeting players that I've played before on Catan Universe, Colonist. There were two sheep players, over the board players, players you see on YouTube. It was just really exciting to go meet all these folks and have a chance to compete. So I did not win the US Catan National Championship, but that's okay. I finished a very, very respectable 32nd place out of 120 participants. I was at basically the top of the one win list. So if I had had a second win, I would have qualified for the semifinals. It's only the top 16 in the semifinals. But if I could have turned one of my last two games that I had 9 points on into a win, I probably would have been seated somewhere between 7th and 11th. But that did not happen. It's always nice to talk about what ifs, what should have beens, what could have beens. But the reality is I did not qualify for the semis. That was my goal. But with that said, I still feel good. I really do. I think I played extremely well. I just didn't get the luck in those last three games. We played four games in total. I won the first one. Second one, I finished with 8. Second game is interesting, actually. I played against Sonny, who was at the final table against Drew, Zhao, and Josh. So it was a pleasure playing against him. That was a very fun game. We'll get into the details of all the games later. In my final two games, I finished with 9. But I had a chance to pull for it a total of 4 different times between those two games, and I missed every time. So, man, sometimes it is the luck of the card pulls. That's just the way it goes. But that's Catan, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. So, with that said, I want to talk about how it all went. So, I got to St. Paul the day before on Friday. Me and my girlfriend came for basically the whole weekend. We had some time to kill. So after going to the airport, we went over to the DoubleTree Hotel where the Catan tournament is played. Then after that, we just were like, well, let's go explore. We wound up going to Como Park. There's a free zoo there, which was a blast.
Dinosaur.
Had some Ethiopian food, which was fantastic at this little restaurant called Bote. And then just went home and relaxed. The next day, Saturday morning, super early, 7 a.m. You have to be there for registration. That was the first day of the Catan National Championships. Rode up the escalator and just got to see 120 Catan players, which was just awesome. Really, really awesome. I got to actually hang out with Dandy Drew. Drew's from Team Florida, along with Giggs and Brian. I do want to shout out to Dandy Drew. And Giggs, I should say, also Giggs. I wouldn't be at the tournament if it weren't for both of them, because they helped run and bring a second tournament to Central Florida, which I was able to compete in and win. So really, I wouldn't have been at the tournament if it weren't for those two players. So I thank you, Drew. I thank you, Giggs, really for everything. It was such a blast to be able to compete there. Anyway. Let's talk about how game 1 went. We'll go through each of the games real quick. Not going to spend a ton amount of time, but just let you know the general vibe of the games and how it went. So game 1, I was in the second position playing as white on this board. I was somehow able to get the 8-5-11 spot at the top there with the ore and the 2 wheat. And then on the way back, I was able to get an 8 wood and a 10-12 sheep. I was very fortunate playing as the traditional ore wheat sheep player hybrid wood in this particular situation. It was a pretty wild game. I wound up winning. I had pulled 3 VPs over the course of the game. My first 2 pulls were actually VPs. It took me a while to kind of get going, though. I was portless throughout 99% of this game until basically the very end. I was able to build to that 6-10 spot, get that brick, but my 6 and 8 wooden brick production basically never rolled until way later, or I should say they never rolled together. 6s were pretty cold this game, so I couldn't really get a bunch of roads going. Eventually, I was able to Year of Plenty down to the wheat port. That made a huge difference. By that time, I was already at 9. And then at the end, I was able to get a mono and just mono for the wheat and just build a final city at the end, which is basically what took the cake here. Though this was a tough game. I barely won. I needed that mono because this was kind of like orange or especially blue could have won this one. Blue actually finished with 9, and they had the army and the road. So they were close to winning with the double play, but we were able to sneakily pull this one off with a mono and 3 victory points. So this was a fun one. At this point, 1 win, 10 points. So things were looking good. Game 2 was just one of those games, man. But we still played pretty well. We were in the second position, playing as white here. Our first pick was this 8-9-11 on the ore, pointing down to the wheat port. The previous player had picked the 5-8-3. We actually also played against Sunny in this game. Sunny picked third. Sunny, I should mention, was at the final table. I thought Sunny was going to win the championship, to tell you the truth. He just had so many dev cards in that game. I was shocked he didn't pull it off. But he was playing in orange here. And then finally, Lindsay was in the 4th position playing as blue. Now, this was one of those games where everything that could go wrong went wrong for basically everyone but Sunny. So, my goodness. Just one of those games where 2, 3, 11, and 12 never roll. I think 11 rolled once. I think 3 rolled once. And unfortunately, if you look at my setup here, I should say my second 2 numbers were the 3, 10, 11 in the middle there, that brick wood sheep spot. Man, this was tough. It was tough when those numbers don't roll. The numbers that wound up going off like crazy this game were all 4s and 9s, which were really good numbers for Sunny, considering he was doubled up on the 9s and then had that 4 wheat. So, man, the whole table was basically playing defense after the first 15 minutes. I think Sunny was up 5-2 to 3-2 early going on. I actually wound up I had to do something. I gave Sunny a city. 2 or I can't remember what the trade was exactly. That's how he got that 8-9-4 spot, because I was so desperate to get moving with something. It wound up working. It got me to the wheat port, and then from there things started accelerating. So I was able to get back into the game. But this whole game was about defense. We were just trying to stop Sunny from winning the game. And the way he was probably going to do that originally was taking the road. So he had the longest road for a good amount of the early game. Lindsay winds up playing defensive wheat mono just to take all the wheat out of his hand. She just bought a ton of cards, all of which were knights, and we just kept harassing Sunny the entire game. It looked like Sunny was going to win, but then I played a defensive wheat mono, took all the wheat from the board, and I was able to steal the road from Sunny. At that point, he kind of persisted trying to take the road a few more times, but ultimately he figured it just wasn't worth it. So he tried to change his win condition, and that ultimately proved to be the right move for him. He still had like the 1 VP, and he was just able to kind of settle his way into victory here. So just one of those games. If 11s maybe rolled more than once, and the 3 maybe rolled more than once, I think we actually had a really good shot to win this one. It just didn't happen. But at least we had a chance to win this game after it just seemed like it was going to be a complete blowout. I wound up finishing with 8 points here. This is my toughest game by far. Sunny persevered though. Let me tell you, he got harassed this game. So kudos to him. Unfortunately, we also had a player with only 3 points in this game, which really did not help. You'll see Red there only finished with 3. He had a VP and 2 settles. He just couldn't get into the game with that 3 wheat. And we really needed him to be in the game, because if maybe he could have bought a few more knights or something, maybe we could have harassed Sunny a little bit more. But ultimately, it didn't happen. So that's the way the cookie crumbles. It was a very interesting game, but ultimately another loss for us. Game 3. So at this point, we were sitting at 18 points, still alive, which, is great. Being some people were already out of it by the time game 2 rolled around. We were still very much live. 18 points. We were in the third position here playing as red. We went for the 6-10-4 with our first pick. Pointed our road towards those two ports, the wood port and the 3-for-1. So it was definitely going to be a port game. With our second pick, we went for the 11-4-9 and pointed our road to the right to get to that 4-10 sheep wheat spot. I'm sorry, I don't have the original board here, so sorry about that. That happens. I just didn't get a picture of it, and I'm too lazy to remake it, so whatever. This was a heartbreaker. We finished with 9 on this one. Blue eventually won by taking the longest road back from white. But man, this one was feisty. I'm not an argumentative player, so I was not one of the people being mean. But the white and red player, or excuse me, the white and orange player, man, it was getting ugly there for a little bit. A lot of bad attitudes. So that's the way it goes sometimes. The reason for that, and it ultimately did cost us the game, was prior to my 9 being blocked here, there was another block where white wound up stealing, put it on the 8 sheep, but stole from orange instead of blue. Orange basically has no win condition at this point, and rightfully so, was a little annoyed that it got stolen from, and that steal wound up winning blue the game. It hurt. This hurt even more because, man, I was able to mono. The mono basically got us to 9. Over the next couple of turns, I had chances to win. I had a couple of different pulls. I had a pull earlier in the game to try to win. Didn't get it. And then I had 2 more pulls to win. Didn't get either of them. Drew all nights, which really hurts. So that's the way it goes sometimes, And there was a pretty good odds of getting a victory point. There were still 2 in the deck, and there were only 6 cards left. So when I was pulling for them, there was a 2 in 8 chance, 25% chance of drawing the VP. Didn't get it. So agonizing to not get it. So that's the way it goes. With that said, we did finish with 9. So maybe if it had got another orbit, I could have built the city, or maybe pulled for another attempt, but it did not. That's the way it goes sometimes. That's Catan. So this one was a bit of a heartbreaker, but it is what it is. At this point, we had 9 plus 8, 17, 27 points. So we're still in the running, right? But to get to the semifinals, we needed a win in our last game. Let's see how that went. Game 4 here. This was another one that unfortunately couldn't quite pull it off. I was in, I believe, the 4th position. I can't remember if I was in the 3rd or 4th position. I'll say one thing that annoyed me a little bit was I never had a chance to decide when I went. Usually I thought everyone was going to get a chance to be either in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th position, and you could decide. I was in 3rd or 4th position the entire game. I just never had a chance to decide my own destiny in terms of picking, which is a little unfortunate. In some of the games, including this one, I probably would have liked to not have been as late as I was, but all good. I wound up taking the 6-4-10 spot in the middle here. Actually, I think I might have been in 2nd in this game. No, I think I actually don't remember. I really don't. I'd have to go try to figure it out, but I took the 6-4-10, get that strong wheat, get the good wheat, wood, and sheep. And then on my way back pick, I took the 9-5 brick, or pointing to the sheep port. Now, this game just was kind of nuts. Orange just had the craziest of starts. Basically the 6 and the 4, especially the 4, wouldn't stop rolling. So this looked like orange was going to run away with it in practically no time at all. I think they were at 7 points halfway through the game, and the rest of us were sitting at 3. So it was pretty lopsided. Now, we were able to fight back. I was able to convince the table to give me 2 roads and a settlement for a bunch of my stuff to go plow orange on the 4-3 wood ore spot. And then I was able to eventually take the road away from orange, which is kind of similar to what happened in game 2 against Sunny. I'm basically fighting for my life trying to take the road. In this time, I was also able to draw 2 victory points. So toward the end of the game, I'm at 9 points. The turn before my final turn, I had a chance to win. I pulled for it, missed. Night, which, that happens. I was going to buy another card at my next orbit. Unfortunately, by then, white kind of pulls off a big surprise. He has a mono and monos for brick. And with that, he's able to build his final city that he needs. He has a victory point in hand. He wins it with 10 points. So this was a close one. The whole game, we're just fighting for our lives, trying to survive orange. And ultimately, white winds up winning. But again, we got to 9. That's the important thing. I almost was able to pull it off. Maybe I would have if trades were a little bit more friendly. The player to my left in red just was offering me these terrible trades. I was trying to get better. Like he wanted 3 for 1s, 2 for 1s, which some of the 2 for 1s I didn't mind. But the problem is he was trading with white 1 for 1 on half of these. So I was a little frustrated with that. But ultimately, I don't think those trades cost us the game. It was really the mono at the end. But man, we came so close again. Another 9 points. Ultimately, wound up finishing with 36 points for the tournament, finishing in 32nd place. Overall, this was an awesome experience, and I would recommend anyone who loves playing Catan and who's willing to travel, try to win a tournament and head to nationals next year in Minnesota. It was a blast. It really was. Meeting all these people, playing all these games. It was a ton of fun. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't fun. I learned a lot. And you know what? It motivated me. It motivated me to do better for next year. I consider myself a real student of the game. Watch the final. The final was fascinating. The final game was absolutely fascinating. Danny Drew wound up winning this tournament. And man, that man had the luck gods on his side. Kind of amazing. He won his semifinal game by pulling for 5 victory points. That's absurd. I've been playing Catan for, 20 years. I can never remember a game where I pulled for 5 victory points. And Drew winds up pulling for 5 in a semifinal game in the Catan National Championship. It's just ridiculous. And then even in the final game, Drew winds up with 3 victory points. While poor Sunny, poor Sunny, I think he drew 9 cards, couldn't get 1. If he had just gotten 1 VP, Sunny would have been your national champion. Pretty wild. That's the way it goes sometimes. The Catan gods favored Dandy Drew on this one, and man, he pulled it off. So congrats to Drew. He deserves it. He's a class act. Great guy. But also, to Sunny, it was fun playing against him, to Josh and Zhao, and everybody else who competed. Really, it was a blast. Such a blast meeting everybody. So I really have no regrets. I cannot complain. And what's even cooler? I wanted to say this. I got monetized, earlier this year. And again, I can't thank you all enough for that. So I just wanted to say that my total trip cost me about $800 with hotels and flight. And as of today, I've made a little over $800 from the channel. So, hey, I always kind of knew that the channel would be supporting my Catan obsession. And look at that. The channel wound up paying for my trip to nationals, which is awesome. So I thank all of you. Really, I can't thank you, my subscribers, my viewers enough. for all your support over the last almost 2 years now. I mean, we've been doing this a long time, right? Like our channel is older than Danny Drew's channel. I think we have more content online, Catan content, than anyone at this point. I mean, I think we're at God, how many videos are we? I'm going to check real quick. I think we're at like 900 and something videos. It's almost absurd. I'd have to go look and see, but yeah, pretty wild. Where are we at here? 947 videos as of today, and by the time this goes up, it'll probably be like 950, which is absolutely crazy. I never thought I would be uploading 950 Catan videos, but here we are. And by the way, I mean, I have no intention of stopping. I love this game. It is a blast. It is fun. It has never not been fun for me. And the second it won't be is the second I'll stop. But I love it. And it's fun to learn. It's fun to be a student of the game and improve. Winning is not everything, right? It really isn't. Sometimes the experience and just doing this, yeah, I would have liked to have won the thing. I would have liked to have gone to the semifinals. But, I had a blast. I really did. I had a blast. And it also, this tournament, if it taught me one thing, it's that, I belong. I belong there. I belong with these guys. I can compete with these ladies and gentlemen at this championship. I can hold my own. I can win. And sometimes maybe if the dice had rolled a little differently, maybe I could even won another game, got to the semis, then who knows? But, it's reassuring that I do belong in this community. So again, thank all of you for everything, for your subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, click that subscribe button. I have no intention of stopping. I'm going to upload videos every single day. That's still the plan. Maybe one day I'll reduce that, but for now, every single day. So again, thank you so much. I intend on going back to nationals next year. Going to have to go find some tournaments, hopefully win them. And maybe we'll have a different result next year. You never know. So hey, thank you all so much again for watching. And as always, I'll see you online.